Hello children, I welcome you all to our special English hour. Here we learn lots of new things, and while learning new things, we also have fun. Are you ready for some fun? Let's get started. Children, we all have friends in our life with whom we have beautiful memories. What are memories? Memories are amazing times that we have spent with our friends, and this adventure becomes one of the best adventures that they have ever done together. Let's see what happens in this story. Children, we all know that it is very important for all of us to learn new words. So now let's learn some new words. You will see these words in the story when we read it. So I request you to please make a note of these words in your notebooks. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. Rohan had a fantastic idea. Mumbled, mumbled, mumbled. I mumbled in sleep. Whispered, whispered, whispered. I whispered in her ear. Rejoiced, rejoiced, rejoiced. I was rejoiced to see my mother. Thoughtfully, thoughtfully, thoughtfully. She looked at her thoughtfully. It will be a fantastic birthday this year, I said in a mocking tone. All I will get is a pair of shoes and a hand-knitted pullover. I had asked for a table tennis set, but my mother said it is totally out of the question this year. My friend Mook looked at me thoughtfully. He drew a bit closer and said, "Well, Rohan, I don't say I believe in it, but my cousin said it works, and there is no harm trying. Don't you think?" "Trying what?" I asked. "Well, my cousin said if you really want something badly, all you have to do is to run around a banyan tree at midnight and chant 17 times. Unke munke timpe tu." The narrator's name is Rohan, and he has his birthday coming up. Rohan desperately wanted a table tennis set, but this year his parents could not afford it. He was going to get a hand-knitted pullover and a pair of shoes, which is why he was very upset. I desperately wanted my wish to come true. Still, I asked, "Why 17 times? And why at midnight?" "Don't ask me," replied Mook, who was my best friend. "That is how it is done, I suppose." "Why not try it? It would not do any harm. I thought it was all nonsense. Besides, I couldn't think of any banyan tree in our neighborhood. There was one in old Mrs. Groover's garden. But who dared to enter her garden? Not me, and not at midnight. Mrs. Groover had been the principal of our school till last year. One look from her piercing pale green eyes was enough to silence bullies like Rinku Lal of class 10. I had seen it happen with my own eyes. Forget it, I said. However, the thought kept haunting me till the day before my birthday, and I just could not think of anything else. Okay, I said to Muk, if you come along with me, I will go to Mrs. Grover's garden tonight and do it. Rohan dismissed the idea of going to Mrs. Grover's house, but the thought kept haunting him. He kept on thinking as to how he could get his gift. So a day before his birthday, he decided to do it. He decided to go to Mrs. Groover's garden midnight. But he asked his friend Muk that he should also accompany him. Why should I come along? Asked Muk. I have no secret wish. Come on, let us go and wish for my table tennis set. So at 10 minutes to 12, Muk and I met at the back of old Mrs. Groover's garden. We climbed and sat on the boundary wall. We looked down into the garden, which lay dark and silent in the dim light of the moon. And there was a banyan tree, its aerial roots swaying in the gentle breeze of the night. We jumped down, reached the tree, and looked around carefully. Imagine if she is awake, I whispered and pointed at Mrs. Groover's house. Nobody is awake at this ghostly hour of the night, hissed Muk. Now get going, run. I ran. I ran as fast as I could, chanting, Unke munke timpe tu. I wish my wish is coming true. Over and over again. I felt a bit scared. That was why I tried to get it over quickly and increased my speed. I increased the chanting too. And all the while I went on listening to the sounds of the night. A crackle here, a swish there. Rohan had a very scary thought. He thought, what if Mrs. Groover is awake? But Muk reassured him and he said that this is night time and at this hour everyone is asleep. So he need not worry. But he asked Rohan to hurry. Suddenly, a ferocious bark tore the stillness of the night. I froze. Inside, Mrs. Groover's house, lights flashed on and the back door was pushed open. "Who is there?" called Mrs. Groover. "Answer or I will send the dog at you." "Mook, mook," I mumbled. "Say something." But Mook was climbing up the tree. When I saw Mrs. Groover bend down to unleash the dog, I pleaded, "Please don't send the dog at us. I will explain everything if you let me." "Speak out soon," Mrs. Groover shouted. I told her everything. I feared she might not believe me, but she listened to me without interruption. She just looked at me with the hard, light green eyes of hers, as if she was trying to see right into my heart. So she asked finally, "And you believe in Unke Munke Timpe too? Do you think it will help?" I dropped my head and said softly, "I hope it will." "Well," she returned, "if you believe so, go and finish your rounds." She turned saying, "And while leaving, would you mind using the front gate?" I did finish the remaining 6 rounds and left her garden using the front gate. I swore that I would never return. And then the great moment came. I opened my gifts, rejoiced over my new pair of shoes and the hand-knitted pullover. And then my eyes fell on a parcel, a big parcel. I had never received such a big parcel earlier. To Rohan Khanna, I read, from Unke Munke Timpetu. I stared at Muk, and he looked as surprised as I was. My mother asked, "Who is Unke Munke Timpetu? Isn't that an unusual name?" "Yes," I said, "very unusual indeed." After listening to Rohan, Mrs. Groover asked Rohan if he really believed in Unke Munke Timpetu, and Rohan said he hoped he did. So Mrs. Groover told Rohan to finish his rounds. Rohan was shocked, but he did not ask any further questions. He completed his remaining 6 rounds and then he left from Mrs. Groover's house. He had decided that he would never return. And then, finally, the day of his birthday arrived. He was very rejoiced to receive his gifts. Well, the writer was being sarcastic. Rohan was not at all happy about his gifts. But along with his pair of shoes and the hand-knitted pullover, there was another parcel. Rohan had never received such a big parcel, and it said to Rohan, from Unke Munke Timpetu. Rohan was shocked and he looked at Muk, who was equally shocked. They both did not understand how was this possible. I bent over the parcel and began to unpack it. I removed the strings and the paper impatiently. Finally, I removed the colorful gift wrapping and found a table tennis set. It was not a brand new table tennis set, but it was a fabulous one. Wow! I whispered, just wow! Till today, Muk swears he has nothing to do with it, and so do my parents. I wondered if old Mrs. Groover was responsible for this surprise. I wondered for a very, very long time. One day, I gathered up all the courage I possessed and went to meet Mrs. Groover. I used the front gate and rang the bell. I had gone over my lines 100 times. But when she looked down on me with her pale green eyes, I felt my heart sink and my courage vanish. And all I could do was stutter like an idiot. Good afternoon, madam. Did you, sorry, but do you believe in unke munke timpe too? Mrs. Groover continued to look at me with a strange look in her eyes. She replied softly but seriously, yes, I do believe in unke munke timpe too. I had wished to have somebody over for tea today, and here you are. Now, isn't it a perfect example of unke munke timpe too? She smiled and she looked so different. Timke too? Was it his parents? Often go to her house because she made the best cookies. But they went to her house because they actually enjoyed her company.